Some of us already had the pleasure of knowing that Jericho Brown is a genius. So I'm glad the MacArthur people caught up. I'm gonna read one poem from the first book. It'll be its 10th anniversary, and I think about it because when it was published, Roe v. Wade was still the law of the land. And despite the greater acknowledgement of the history of the foundations of gynecology in this country that the book kind of tackles, we are in another kind of moment. And so it should not be a surprise to those of us who know that history that the first casualties of the Dobbs decision were Black women in the South. So Betsy invents the speculum, fall 1845. Introducing the bent handle of the spoon, I saw everything as no man had ever seen before. This epigraph is from The Story of My Life by J. Marion Sims, the so-called father of American gynecology. I have bent in other ways to open the body, make space more pliable than pewter. My skin may be less giving. Great discoveries are made on cushioned lessons and hard falls. Sims invents the speculum. I invent the wincing, the if you must of it, the looking away, the here of discovery. So I'm gonna move on to the more recent book, Feeling Creative Practice, and if I may bend the rules of reading at a poetry reading, this is a hybrid text. This is I'm reading from the chapter that is poems, so I broke rules in the other direction too. And so if you just so happen to go and get the book, or if you have the book, you'll see that there is a QR code in the middle of the book. It's to a film. It's a series of poems. I'm reading from those poems here. And I'm also going to read from the kind of introduction of these poems. Something in my chest is always wailing. Its constancy marked by the sudden jolt of feeling one has when one finds themselves to be wailing. First the crack, then the moment of opening, and then the sound. It is the sound that opens wide everything else. The sound, the crack, the opening, each punctuated by a more tender picture turned morbid. The way I held her hands that would never get warm, how we pulled rings from her fingers, a single tear on her cheek. I am abandoned, or have I abandoned her? My open mouth utterances do not know the difference. What might it mean that grief is the matter all around us, that grief is the very lexicon of Black study? What meaning can be made of the accumulated corpses, the work of counting them? Who or what are we after we have counted? Who or what are our dead? I opened up a recently acclaimed tome. It begins with a litany of loss. Another spoke of survivor's remorse. Another about the inevitability of death for Black women writers. Another, a list. The epithing of inquiry is always recounting, negotiating, attempting to undo the inevitable tripping over the dead that comes from this line of work. As for me, in the summer of 2018, I sat down to write on this very book and could only wail in poems. At the coffee shop, leaving the doctor's appointment, holding her hand, coming home from work, watching TV, cooking dinner, in the middle of a fit of tears for another. Remember, they gone. And what publishers, reviewers, colleagues, tenure committee do you write of that? And what, dear Black feminists, can I say of pleasure in that? We carry it. We carry each life and the moment of losing that life, each question and mischance for the last. You hold the living tight, you hold the dead tighter, and some days you let go. If you remember. So in that epigraph or introduction, there are footnotes. And one of those notes I read to you, I sat to work on this very book and could only wail in poems. I call this a whale of poems, a whale as in the sea mammal, wail as in crying really loudly with your mouth open, of poems, much like a crown of sonnets, but named for the grieving orca whale, who's known as J35, or Tahlequah, or Tahlequah, who carried her stillborn calf for 17 days after its birth. And so like a crown of sonnets, the final line of each preceding 14-line poem starts the first line of the next poem, and the final poem ends with the first line of the very first poem in the sequence. This is a little different from a crown. There is no master poem in this sequence, but it does consider what comes after. 1, water unto water, this world into the next. The unborn orca shifts in the womb and turns toward oblivion. Instead, she slides down to blue and bluer, down to warmer darkness. Gravity is so neutral, amoral. See her descend away from exanimate placenta, away from umbilical cord, slack and taut, and let go. No, I dive for mine, lift my prize to the angels of thicker air, limp, but God, mine. Oh, this body unfit. Oh, this sea sick with grief. Ooh, thank you for like the cough at sick. That was perfect. I love a participatory audience. That was great. The show was cough. 2, oh, this sea sick with grief, Salish, Chesapeake, whatever we may call salt water made brown with the blood of many massacres, former extinctions. Here in the in-between of disembarked ships and shore, we have been the market and the exchanged, have nothing to see for it but ourselves. Hands open and pleading, we call your names, Yemaya, Kokwalawut, mother and maiden, what might be seen before our excision, before we are made martyr and relic, what can be seen when our possibility has given itself to weightless depths. We carry you anyway, child. We carry. 3, a group of female orcas gather around J35, aka Tahlequah, for 2 hours at sunset. We carry you anyway, child. We carry our babe found in the sea. We open, sister. We open the grave of moonlight's reflection. It too shall be gone in the morning. But here you will be, and we always with you. We with you, and you a gift to the disappearing moon, a gift to the disappearing we. Carry anyway, child. Carry although we may not see. Carry anyway, child, carry, and we always with you, and we always with you. 4. And we always with you, Laura. Your daughters and nieces, your granddaughter, your girls are holding your hands, and you are not here. After the whirring of machines, after the pastor, the doctors, after the men leave the room, we bend over in that same void where spirit hovers to tell you that we listened, we love you, we shape our gate to yours, and you could shed this flesh if you need to. Thank you. Thank you. Je t'aime. Adieu. Be sure to hear this as you go, how we are emptied and made full with gratitude through gnashing teeth and salted lips, every well wish true and spiteful. I'm going to move on. I think I get to read one more poem. Mitochondrial Eve brainstorming the archive. What if we were to recover the first utterance of ourselves before Black, but happened to be in this moment of looking back, Black, before African or African descended from a place that would be called Africa, from the first large place surrounded by waters, before woman, and all of the lies told therein? What would we be? Would we be able to utter our own names? Would I hear myself when called if I ever recovered me? The archive would be my dreams, the intensity of elders' eyes, things that could not be said lest we fall apart where shattered in the first place the first time. Uncover what? My marrow? This pelvic bone you called home? You, a child of children, a memory, premonition, why you want so bad to remember all of the things I willfully forgotten. The hungers I've stuffed with human flesh, the joys I've chosen to live and in living would not write them down. Uncover what? Go, live, be a forest of your own dreams, be a mystery for your own children. Thank you.